Hello, Pacifica family. Welcome back to the Need Your Money Show. This is a platform where we're all about empowering our Pacifica family in the areas of money and finance. So welcome back. And today, Izzy is gonna introduce our very special guest that we have on tonight.
Today, thank you. I have the pleasure of speaking with, we have the pleasure of speaking with Roman, the founder and the CEO of Air Locker Training, a revolutionary fitness brand that combines simulated altitude training with a community-focused approach. Roman's journey into fitness began after rugby injury cut short his professional sporting aspiration at the age of 19, leading into channel his passion into creating something transformative in the fitness industry. With a background in mining and engineering, Roman took his unique perspective and applied it to Air Locker, making altitude training accessible to everyone, not just elite athletes. Since launching in Newcastle, Australia in 2019, Air Locker has expanded rapidly with franchises growing worldwide. Roman's vision extends beyond physical training. He emphasizes mental well-being, community, and the power of resilience in all aspects of his business. I'm excited to dive into his story and philosophy behind Air Locker Training. Thank you, Roman.
Oh, what an intro. Thank you, my man. Oh, man. That's great. I don't need to say anything more. Thank you for that, Izzy. That was awesome. And Joe, thanks. It's awesome to be here.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we were quite nervous about today because you don't have a runner like yourself with
So I'd be nervous. It's, just like you going.
Once we get into it, I think we'll get comfortable and yes, go.
Upset. Roman. Right. Mate, that was awesome, by the way. I'll say that again. I was listening to you and I was like, is that me? Did I do all that stuff? There's still more to do. But of course.
Hey, first off, can you tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, and what it was like?
Yeah, I'm a country kid. I grew up in a place called Dubbo, which is Central West New South Wales. Proud Māori. My father's from Matata near Whakatane, the North Island. Our tribe's Te Arawa Rangatihi. Mum's Aussie. She's red hair, freckles, 5'3". So it's funny, like I've got my father, he's a dark, he's got the Māori tats, and I've got my mother. But born and bred here in Australia, but really proud of the Māori heritage as we were brought up. But Dubbo kid, mate, grew up in a, similar to like a lot of other Polynesians, I guess, that we loved our sports. And I was a very overactive kid growing up, was always into mischief. Got 3 siblings, 2 sisters, an older brother. Older brother, unfortunately, not here with us today. But when I grew up, it was all about just playing sports, having fun with my friends, going to school. Dad was my hero, so everywhere he went, I went. And, kind of was at Dubbo for a period of time until I was 11 in town. Was getting up to no good. And Dad seen opportunity in me as a young kid. And it's a beautiful thing what my father seen into me. He always used to say to me, I'm going to be somebody. You're going to be someone one day, Ryan. So I had a lot of belief in myself as a kid. And then he seen me going down the wrong path, which my siblings, they kind of ventured down that path before me and then moved me out of town, put me on a farm.
Yep.
And we moved out near Yeovil. So I was a farm boy then.
Yeah.
And then finished year 10 in Dubbo, and sports, like I said before, was my passion. Rugby league at that time, and made a few representative teams, and that got me looked at from boarding school. So I went away to boarding school in my year 11 and 12 years, and then rugby was the dream. That and like you said before, it wasn't my story. My 3 ACLs on my left knee cut that career short, and then from that point was redefining that blueprint. But that's where I've come from. And
was there many Pacific Islanders in Dubbo?
Well, it's a funny story. My father, he's actually written a book which he released a couple of years ago called The Lost Warrior. So he's had one hell of a journey, right? So what he tells me, I don't know if there's a huge amount of truth in it. He wanted to find a town in Australia that was no Polynesians.
Wow.
You should ready for. And he said, have a look at your mother. She's the farthest thing from a Polynesian I could find. But Yeah, he's obviously got some scars from his upbringing. But no, there wasn't too many, mate. There was a lot of Aboriginal kids out there. You know, we had a big Aboriginal population, but not too many when I grew up. To be honest.
I think there's a lot more now there.
Oh yeah,
There's always a Fijian and Dubbo or Orange. They're all around there now.
yeah,
There's a lot, especially because of rugby and the farming.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. But my dad kind of followed the abattoir around.
Okay, yeah.
So wherever there was an abattoir, that's where my dad brought all us to. Yeah.
You moved around a lot.
I didn't know. I didn't. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. So by the time I was born, I was born in Tamworth, and we were living in Gunnedah at that time. And when I was 2, we moved to Dubbo. Fletcher's International Abattoir went there. So Dad kind of had a long-standing career there. So I was pretty settled. Yeah, I was in Dubbo until I went to boarding school when I was 15.
And so what was it like, with in terms of culture and personal development?
So there was a longing for it. There's a deeper story to it. But like I said, my father had written a book called The Lost Warrior. And just a quick overview of his story. He was fun-eyed when he was a kid, taken away from his parents, brought up by the grandparents. And there was a shift in the 50s and 60s. And that shift was the traditional way with radio and the flower power kind of movement, right? So Dad didn't understand why he couldn't go to school or play sports, why he had to stay with the kamatuas, right? Which is the elders. And so he rebelled against that. Why can't I do everything everyone else is doing? But he didn't know that he was the chosen one. He's the eldest grandson. Yeah. So they were pioneering him to take over, take over the marae and take over the tribe. So he pushed back against that. And then he kind of went through a really tough time as a 10 or even a kid all the way through to his 17. And then, he ended up going, joining the army. And when he was old enough, he wanted to get out of there. Yeah. So my dad had a lot of scars. I love him so much. He just turned 70.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday. But, like when he came to Australia and started working, he had a lot of scars, right? That he had a lot of trauma he hadn't worked through. And I don't think he really worked through that until he was in his 50s, 60s, right? Totally different man now. But his thing was keep us away from that. Yeah. Right? Keep us away from that. But we knew who we were. So we were longing for more of that. But then my sister, one of my sisters, Summer, she broke through that and connected to the aunties, the uncles, and then all of a sudden we kind of were really present with it all. And, it was awesome to reconnect. So I feel like, in many ways, I didn't get a huge connection to that cultural aspect, except for we did hungies all the time. Yeah. Food, celebration, we did that a lot. But I only went over to New Zealand once when I was 8 and never went back there. So
Have you been back since?
yeah, I've been back heaps. You've been back heaps since. So, I guess that's a little bit of a different upbringing for most Polynesians and Pacific Islanders. But, there was always something in here. You were connected to something. And that's why I'm really proud of our culture. The other thing is, which goes without saying, we're big All Blacks fans. Jonah Lomu was my man. He was my man. Tano Manga, Zin Zambrook, all these guys, they were my idols. I was watching them before I could even talk. Yeah. So I guess I had that culture in me, and I loved the haka and what that stood for. So knowing that I was 50% Māori, obviously I did my own kind of investigation to what that was too as a kid. But yeah, I guess, we kept away from it, but definitely was longing inside. It was really good when we started to embrace it when I was about 15, 16.
Yeah. Well, and by that time, your dad's like, yep, all right, time to move on, leave Dubbo.
Yeah, no, well, they stayed in Dubbo.
Yep.
I was just lucky enough. I got an opportunity to go to boarding school. But I honestly didn't see it as an opportunity at the time. At the time, I was 14. I had a long-term relationship, 3 months old, with a girl that I was going to marry. We all go through that as young kids. I didn't want to leave. That's where the porn started. 100%. Yeah. So I didn't want to leave Dubbo. And I got offers to go to a couple of boys' schools in Sydney. And the idea of going to a boys' school it was not my thing. So I ended up going to Kinross Wallaroy's school. And what I didn't know was it would change my life forever. It was one of those sliding door moments. And I guess my environment where I grew up, I had a very hardworking father, a loving mother, never went without. We didn't have everything. Like, we weren't in abundance of stuff, but all the essentials we had. I was a lonely kid. So being out on the farm by myself all the time, I was a lonely kid. But I had everything I needed, right? Yeah, I had everything I needed. So, but when I went to boarding school, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so when I actually went there, oh, man, there's a thing called proximity, right? The people around you. Man, I had people, I went to one of my mate's house, and he had a spa in his ensuite. He had a tennis court at the back. He had, man, his knives and forks were unreal,
Yeah. And I made it.
Hey, it was just crazy. But the other thing too was like, they were friends. The father was friends, like they were friends, not like father-son,
Yeah.
And you know what it's like for us, it's like, do this and do that and don't do that, bang, clip over the ears, that a makeshift. So I know I've seen successful people for the first time in my life caring about me, and then giving me advice. And I started thinking a bit of a cocky kid, I guess. I'm like, man, if that guy can make it, I can make it, but again, when you're around these people, what I had in my head of a successful human being as a kid was either outside of rugby, football, superstar, icon. Business-wise, that was so foreign to me. I thought these people were like aliens.
Yeah.
But then I started to associate with them, and they were just normal human beings. And I started thinking, man, this was awesome. So then the teachers, and this is not a bad thing to the teachers I had back in Dubbo, but when you go to a boarding school, their teachers care for you.
Yeah.
They want to come and mentor you. Give me a call if you don't understand X, Y, Z. So I just had all this support around me when I went there. And then obviously, it's a rugby school, so you're like a bit of a rock star. And they had the facilities there, the gym there, the pool there, the green grass. Green grass, you don't even have to run around with boots on,
It's on a good table.
I'm not good. So it was just a beautiful kind of environment for me. And also it had culture there.
Yeah.
It had culture there. It had, the Chinese, it had the Vietnamese, you had your Fijians, you had your Māoris, you had your Tongans, you had Aussies, and it was just unreal to kind of be around all that. And for me, some Fijian lads, actually, I lived with in the same boarding room. We were best friends for ages. And so it was just so much to that boarding school that really was a pivotal moment in my life, not just because it got me out of Dubbo, where, my parents at that time were limited on how much support they can give me to take me to places, but they did everything in their power to do that, right? And every dollar they had, they put to me, every time they had, they put to me. But when you go to a place like this, man, like you're getting the best of everything.
Do you have to pay for that, or how does it get paid for?
Yeah, so it's the tuition plus the boarding. You're probably looking at a price tag anywhere from 50 to 60K a year, right?
Wow.
But then, if you're at sport, you can get a music scholarship.
Yeah, sure.
If you're good at footy, you get like a drama scholarship or something. I don't know, but you can get looked after. There's scholarships you can get, and I was fortunate enough that I got one of those scholarships. And without that kind of opportunity, I don't think, definitely the person I am today, that molded me today. So, well, you're a good student. So prior to going to Kinross, all my report cards would have been great potential, but cannot stay still. Roman's,
That's like me too.
yeah. Roman, if he applied himself, it would be great. Yeah, right. So that would have been my report card prior to going to boarding school, and then maybe even for about 3 to 6 months after. But again, proximity, right? When I went to boarding school, I couldn't believe it. They do 3 hours of prep every night. And And again, where I grew up in Dubbo, if you were good at footy and good at fighting, that was cool.
Yeah.
But if you were smart, or if you want to do co-curricular stuff like drama or singing, man, that ain't cool at all, right? So there's actually a story about when I was in Dubbo High, because I actually love drum, right? So I did drum, right, in year 10, and we had this at Stedford. Oh, you went to Stedford, yeah. But no one knew I was doing it because it was an elective, right? So no one knew I was doing it except for the people in the drama class. And so we had this at Stedford, and then there was an improvisation kind of contest, and plus there was a little thing that we did. Anyway, I won the improvisation contest at the Stedford. And I'm like, that's cool. My little clique group, my drama friends, they know it. We're at the assembly. Everyone's in the assembly. Drama teacher comes up. I just want to make some special announcements. We had an Stedford. I'm coming down on my second of these. I was sitting next to the boys of the rugby team. You're like, and just an incredible performance from Roman, one of our number one drama students. I'm like, under the chair, Roman, are you out there? No, I don't, But, so then you go to boarding school, man, the openness of expressing your true self. If your passion is drama, if your passion is this, excel at it.
Yeah.
Do it the best you can, and the people around you love it. So I went to, obviously I'm in this new environment. There's this growth mindset people have, right? And so they do 3 hours of study every night, and like I said, they put me in a cottage, a workman's cottage with 6 boys, and they're all sporting guys, right? So then you had the big boarding room where it had year 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, but over here, year 11 and 12s, there's only 6 of us. And the 2 Fijian boys were there, right? Apanisa and Josiah. And this is what blew me away. This is what changed my life. I'm 2 days into boarding school. You got to go do prep. What's prep? It's prepare for school. Like, you got to study. You got to go in your room and study. But I'll go in my room. I'm sitting in my room. I'm like, well, I wonder what the Fijian boys are up to, So I go out and I walk. And where I was, I had to come out the corridor, go through the lounge room, go down another corridor and knock on the door. Abenisa, the big 115 kilo Fijian. Beautiful man. So I go down there, knock on his door. Hey, bro, what do you want to do? You want to do something? No, I'm doing prep, man.
Yeah. Well, so what kind of Fijian are you, man?
Yeah. What do you mean you're doing prep? I'm doing homework, bro. So I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
And I said, no, look, show me around. I said, nah, man, let me finish this off and I'll come get you. So that is what I mean by anybody that puts their mindset to something is great. But when your peers do it, and that's the culture you got there. For me, I was like, all right. So this is what happened. That happened. I go in my room. Because I'm only new there, I don't really know the textbooks and all this stuff. So I don't really have momentum anyway. But when I go to school, I start asking more questions. Well, what's this mean? And what's that? Like, what were you studying? How do I know this? And then I started to, I guess, get a bit of a runway of what I needed to do. Once you do that, your momentum comes. You can't read enough. 3 hours isn't enough because you're interested. I was big on, I used to love modern history. I loved English. I was passionate about maths and equations. So, man, 3 hours isn't enough. So that's how that started. And then I become addicted to learning.
Yes.
In year 11. And then when it comes exam time or assessment time, this was another pivotal moment in terms of my acceptance and embracing of education and learning. I'm a competitive person. It's one of the biggest things I am, a competitive person. So when the test results come back and everyone's going, what'd you get? And the credibility went to the people in the top 10%. And I'm in the bottom 10%. I'm like, all right, wait to see next time.
Wow.
All you did was read more than I did and you applied yourself, right, bang. So then I was trying to get up to the top 10% of the class. And that's how it happened for me. Like, that's where I feel like I was never applying myself as a kid because of I get, it is a hard way to say it, but you got to remember, like, you are a product of your environment. I never seen anyone around me reading books. I never seen anyone around me studying, and that's not a bag out to my environment, my family or anything, because they did the best they could. They did the best they could do. But then when you're in that environment, you see it. If you're competitive like me, and you start getting benefit from education and learning, bang, off you go.
Do you notice there's a like in footy and in the NRL? I think Suaalii and the boy Penasini at the Eels, they both went to King's College.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you notice a difference between these players, like in terms of etiquette and the way they hold themselves, the way they speak? I noticed a bit of a difference, like watching there and speaking to them.
Well, let me tell you one thing that I do notice.
Yeah.
I notice any Polynesian, any Pacific Islander going to the All Blacks system.
Yeah.
And they are leaders, they're mentors, and they are icons for everyone else.
Yes.
I see similar players to them go into other systems and are anything but that.
Yes. So yeah.
It's proximity. It's the leadership in the group. It's environment to 100%.
Wow, that's awesome, huh? Yeah.
Oh, I just taking it all in, mate. I'm sweating every time.
Yeah. Well, Steve, it's up. Hey, still in touch with Mapilasa? Have you ever seen? Yeah, no, forget.
Yeah. So App's over in Fiji now. And so is Josiah. He actually ex-QVS boys. That the QVS tattooed on their shoulder, like all of them. But they used to, what they used to say back in Fiji. I said, we would talk about like, training.
Yeah.
He goes, man, our training regime back home. I don't know if this is correct,
Okay.
but this is what they tell me. They used to have tractor tires where they roll down the hill and tackle them. True or not true?
They probably didn't have any big. Hey, the coconuts is there on me balls. I was thinking about coconut.
I would last them. We used to roll tires down the hill. But no, still in contact with those guys on Facebook. They'll see this, no doubt.
Yeah. And, in terms of your connection to New Zealand, so do you go back? Do you have family there? Are you connected to?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of the cousins, he's playing on the weekend. No, that CJ Patterson is, so he's a cousin, he's playing. We're really proud of him as a family. He actually took the whole All Blacks to our Marae 2 years ago. Yeah, just after COVID, he took the whole All Blacks up to our Marae.
That's a kind of leadership, but you're talking about.
Oh, well, you have a look at TJ.
Yeah.
Have a look at TJ. You talk about business, right?
Yeah.
He's got that business, and he's got this business, he's got that business. And you always knew when he was a kid, man, he did a haka. Him and a guy, one of our other cousins called Huriwaka.
Yeah.
They're 3 or 4 years younger than me. So they're 34, 33. Man, I was 8, they were 4. And the uncles, hey, Huriwaka, go show run the haka. Yeah, 4-year-old little kid come up and I'm sitting there, go. But he jumped on that knee and like the quit. And I actually thought Huriwaka would go as far as, someone like TJ. But as soon as TJ made it, man, he was the captain of the schools team and he's doing the haka, because that culture that was in his veins, and just the passion. So to see him do his thing up on the All Black stage now has been phenomenal. But what he does off the field is unreal. And what you have to know about him is his proximity as well, the nurturing he's had. And it's been similar to what I was told, my father always used to say to me, see these hands?
Yeah.
They've done enough working for all of us in the family. I want you to work with this.
Yeah. I think, that's something that I feel like I can see because I'm first generation here in Australia, born in Fiji, came over here. I know that I feel like our parents didn't have the opportunities that we did. So they did what they could to sort of get us to this platform or this level. And now it's up to us to take the reins. But I feel like sometimes people look at our parents as, they didn't do enough. Or I always feel like sometimes when I speak to people from our culture, my parents or whatever, tend to maybe not really fully grasp the sacrifice or not see it from their point of view that they didn't really have the education that they've given us, and I just articulating it and maybe say,
I agree with you. It's not like, it's not us downplaying it at all or putting, geez, you should have done that or should have done this. We all have empathy, and I've got nothing but empathy for, and I'm very proud of what my mum and dad went through compared to me.
Yes.
Man, I got it easy. I got it more than it. I'm living like a king.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm so proud of them for first and foremost raising us kids, doing their best. Secondly, for being here and surviving everything they had to go through. And I think a lot of us, Polynesians and Pacific Islanders will understand that they're here, and they had their heart. They had to go through their traumas and figure it out. And let's not forget too, like back then, you didn't. It's one of the downfalls of our people is we don't talk enough.
Yeah.
We don't this, and I'm not mocking anyone, but that's it.
Yeah.
It ain't like, hey man, like oh you're starting a business, so I broke. Can you teach me how to do the finance? Well, hey, what? There's none of that. Or I'm feeling this way, or I'm a bit down today. Like, I don't know what's going on with my mindset. There was none of that, right? And I think nowadays we've got that.
Yes.
So we're a lot more open to evolving our mindsets. And that's some of the beautiful things that social media gives us, and we've got access to these mentors now, even though we don't know them. Well, they can teach us. Yeah.
And like I don't say, like my parents, I don't remember saying I love you to them or them saying it to me. But we knew we loved each other. You knew it just there. We do. There was about other.
Never said.
But it was never said. So now with our kids, we say it like every day, like it's just normal. And then it's like,
Yeah, I said it once to my dad, and I think it was like, and I was just, because I was thinking about it, and someone said it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and I said it to him, and he sort of didn't know how to take it, but then I just gave him a hug, and I'm glad I did that because I still remember he's passed away now.
Yeah.
I know he felt it.
yeah.
But now we can hear it. Yeah, speak it like when you're saying about speak.
Honestly, brother, like that is the most simplest form of affection that we find easy, right? Same with my father. Very, very hard to say those words. Yeah. I remember he says it all the time now.
Yes.
But even now when he says it, it means something.
Yeah.
Because it's not a part of him from when he was,
Yeah.
So my father, when he speaks from the heart, he gets emotional.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him I loved him and gave him a hug. Oh, what? Like that's how it was.
Yeah.
That's what. I never forget. I made the Australian team when I was in 17, rugby team, an Australian team, big. And I remember flying back from Brisbane because we're at Churchy up in Brisbane. I'm flying back, and no, actually, the memory was when I made the New South Wales team, and we had the Tafupolitan now there. We had Digby Ihone, we had a cracker Tate, Leon Bott. Anyway, we're on the plane, and I'm coming from Sydney to Dubbo, right? And the plane takes off, and I'm above the clouds, and that's how I felt. I'm on top of the world here, you know what I mean? And I'm flying there, and I'm like, in my head, I can't wait to tell my dad I love him for everything he's done for me. My mom, I'm gonna, and that's the first time I remember. I was like, oh, I love you, Dad. But because that was not just my dream; it was our dream.
Well, yes. And that I feel like that is, generally when it's a specific person, it's everyone's dream. It's the whole family dream, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about the community. Yeah.
And is that pushed you now to, even from after rugby, I guess, wanting to make a better life for you and get back to your parents?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, you got to be careful of that because, it's funny. It's funny how I kind of my career when football was lost when I was 19. From that point, like I lost myself for 2-3 years when a really dark hole, and when I got myself out of it, over the last say 10-15 years, man, like I've got to be honest, like some of the stuff that I've done that I'm doing now, it's like, wow, man, but you still feel like it's not enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's a funny one. And I remember I spoke to my dad, and so what had happened when I hurt my knee? This is a nice moment. I hurt my knee. when I was 19, just nearly 20. And that was my third knee reconstruction on my knee. And so I was in Sydney at the time, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I got in a bit of trouble because I kind of want to hurt myself. I was of the opinion, stuff it's all over. And I feel like for me, I was like, I just wanted to feel pain or wanted to sabotage myself, right? So heavy on the alcohol and the party and just all this stuff. So I kind of went through that for a really acute period of time, went back home to Dubbo. And then we had a workman's cottage on the farm. I stayed in there and I needed money, right? So I'd go out and there was people in my local community, in the rugby community anyway. They're like, mate, we'll get you a job here. They got me a labouring job at Metal Corp. Metal Corp, shout out. So I had the high vis on. And I had a little Daihatsu Charade. It was like a crack, we called it Daisy. Yeah. And so it's like this little box car. So I'm cruising out to work. I'm working there and I'm hating it, right? I've got to go out and get the metal, and then I've got to get the forklift and then take it in. Yeah, that was my job. Anyway, I'm still drinking on the weekend. I'm partying with my mates. And my father come up and said to me, he said, look, son, how you going? I said, yeah, I'm all right. He said, and he looked at me in my eyes and he said, look, son, I'm so proud of you because you're making your own money. You've been torn down and you've got back up. As long as you earn your own wage and you can put a roof over your head and food on the table, yes, that's a man.
Wow.
And I'm proud of you. And that was when I was 20, and that was a beautiful thing for him to say, because, you got to remember our dream was for me to be on the lights and use my profile to help, some of the young kids coming through. And so that was all gone. And then I'm working in Metal Corp, I'm drinking on the weekend. I'm not fit, I'm not training. And then he comes and says that. And I was like, that put it in perspective for me, right? He understood. I think he dealt with it and said, okay, well, what's the words I need to tell my son to move forward as well?
We don't have to eat it then. So, what's over there?
No, he just spent the week down in Newcastle.
Oh, nice.
He said to me, I'm turning 70, son. And I hadn't seen you for about a year. And he goes, I'm turning 70. And all I want to do is come spend my 70 with you. So I'm flying down to Newcastle.
Little the middle cough, know that you'd be a CEO of a mining company one. Yes. Yeah. So how did that come about? So university, you went to uni after that, or?
Yeah. So I went to uni, and so I was in Dubbo for about a year, just to kind of like recuperate, and then I moved to Newcastle.
Yep.
I started physio at Newcastle, and out of my first year at uni, here's where it gets interesting. You talk entrepreneurial, right? There's a lot of stuff I don't talk about a lot, but I feel safe here with the brothers. So the first year I went to uni, I did physiotherapy, right? Which, when you look at the physio subjects, you do 4 in semester 1 and 4 in semester 2. So out of that, there was one physio thing you did. The rest was like biology and care. It was all this stuff in it. So out of the 8, I passed 2 and failed 6 on my first year. Passed the sports science ones and failed everyone else. But mind you, my mindset wasn't in it. I wasn't mature enough. I didn't commit to it. I kind of lost my way a bit. And so that was my first year. It was a big flop.
Yeah.
Right. And that'll cost money, right? I think it was called New Start, which was my money. Then I had the HEX debt. Yeah. So after that, I started working in the Christmas holidays, and I just never went back to uni the next year. I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to uni because I'm making money here. And so I started working at a labour hire company, and they would throw you out to like a processing work or brickies labouring. That was my worst one. I hated that one. You're lugging out all these brickies. Where's me mud? And you're coming up on this and you're stin your knuckles. If you don't know hard work, that's hard work.
And I understand that there's 30 something over there. Bro, when are you going to stop this? Is this messy? Kiss it.
Honestly, it's your first week on there, you don't know how they do it. And then all right, I know when he needs mud. All right, I got the ramp to get up on that. And then you start finding your ways, You get it for beer too as well. Right, and that's what I couldn't like. Ciggies and beers. That's how they do it. I couldn't believe it. And they have one lunchtime. They don't have smoko. They don't have 15 here and 45 here. They have a 1 hour hit where they smack the burger. Because everyone's, oh, who wants the burger from the corner shop? Like, hey, the burger. Well, I smacked that burger after that hard 4 hours. I don't want to go back. I just don't know. So I was doing stuff like that. And through that labor hire company, I ended up getting a job at a place called Deal or Die Existence International, which was a mining manufacturing company. So it's a process line, right? And so like you go there and you clock in, you clock out under the labor hire company. So you weren't direct with the company. And so like they would lay people off and put people on, and I was kind of last on, first off, then I'd come back on. But man, what had happened in that kind of that period of time? Plus I was on the door at the local nightclub. You know what I mean? I'm on the door and they're like, but I didn't have my 7 days a week. I didn't have my security license, so I was what they call a responsible service of alcohol. Oh, RSA. I just hide the back of my shirt. I'm like, hey, I'm the bouncer. So I was working, and I feel like by working nights and working days, I kind of got my momentum back. And I met this guy called Mark Symes, and if he listens to that, shout out to you, I love you, mate. He gave me a shot.
Yeah,
you know, he was the general manager of the labor hire company, and he would prioritize me. Oh, we've got a hospitality job. Run's got his RSA, and I said, "We're going to send him out to the showground. He'll do it." Oh, we got a labouring job. So I was getting work.
Yeah,
and amidst that, the guys at DSI, they seen that I was smacking the work, right? And all the union guys hated me because I realized if I outdo these guys, I might get a shot here full time. You know what I mean? So I'm outdoing them, and there it's all about your numbers. You got to get numbers. God, comes out. I could get what they got in an 8-hour shift in 2 hours.
wow.
And it's not that they couldn't do it. They knew, hey, I'm getting paid by the hour. Yeah, right. So I just started shining, and then this guy came in, and again another sliding doors. His name is Goran. Again, if Goran listens to this, I love you too, brother. This guy was my first business mentor. Yeah, first business mentor. And at this time, I'm still not involved with rugby. So I lost my identity a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm still mixed up with things, you know. He comes in and sees this work ethic. And he goes, "Do you read books, son?" "No, don't read books." Gives me my first book.
Yeah.
"Read this."
What was it?
It's the Robin Sharman. Robin Sharman. And it's the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Wow.
Cracker book. So he gives me this book. I read this book. And then I come back to work in a couple of days. He goes, "You read that book?" And I said, "Man, I'm mulling through it." "How many pages you done?" I said, "I reckon about 20, 30. He goes, "Give me a look at your book." Looks at my book. There's no notes. I'm not writing notes, highlighting.
Wow.
Because have you got a diary where you get into your lessons? Because no, you got to do your notes. So I go back and I read the 20 things because I want to go back to work because I'm trying to press this guy for a full-time job, right? He thinks I'm reading the book because I'm learning. I'm trying to impress him for a full-time job, right? So I'm writing all these notes, but I start learning.
Yeah.
And then he starts mentoring me, and I'm smacking the work for him. So he's got a soldier on the floor. He's a manager. He's getting his numbers up, which makes him look good for his boss. But I'm learning, and anyway, this happened and it was the same thing as my dad did when I was a kid. He believed in me. He would say things to me, "Mate, if you keep doing this, he gave me a pathway. If you do this, you could go do engineering. We could subsidize that. Then you could get that kind of job, you know, and then this." So man, like that would have been when I was 22. And marriage just took off. I read book after book. Oh, he was loving the energy. I'd come back with all these notes. I started journaling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, you know, on a personal, I had my first son. Like I started to pick up all these hours and getting all this overtime. Then team leader role came my way. I got that. You know what I mean? And I'm in uni again and working. So I'm like, man, I'm on my way here. And I suppose that's where it started for me. So it all started there. And then the university thing was happening whilst I was working. And then I realized there's something missing. I need to get back involved with rugby.
Wow.
So in Newcastle, I went to the local rugby club And
How old were you by this thing?
23.
20. You hit what?
Yeah, 23. So I was like, all right, well, I need to get back involved with rugby. So I grew all those rugby teams and knew which one's the business one.
Oh,
Yeah. Because I'm reading business books. I got to be around business people, right? And then there was this club for the Silver Spooners, the Wanderers, right? They're the ones with all the business guys. So I was like, oh, go to this one. So cold called them, went to meet their president and their vice president. They had a little office there, and I went and met with them. They're like, mate, come down to training. So I go down to training, and I'm like, man, I just want to run the water, because the season already started, right? So they had this Kiwi coach that was coming in. He was a bit of an alcoholic, but he came in. It was the first grade coach, and then he seen me running drills. And for those people who know me and those people that don't, I'm so passionate about coaching. It's like my purpose, right? So no matter, like I'm first day on there and I'm telling people where to stand, brother, come back and hit that hole. Oh, it's just like I was back. So Ellis mentioned who's this coach, and he actually coached the Tongan team before he came to us, the Tongan national team.
Yeah.
So Ellis sees this and me goes, man, where you come from? Told him my background. I was with Eastwood in Sydney, I was TARS and all that stuff. He goes, man, you got to come into the first grade. So he puts me as the attack coach, like first grade, first day. For the very first day at the end of the session, and then we were there for 2 hours after, and he was telling me his whole game plan. He had all these philosophies in there. Anyway, so I'm working full time plus overtime. I'm at uni. I'm coaching first grade now. I'm looking at starting a family. All this at one time, and that stayed like that for 2-3 years, right? And then from that point, when I started to get mind you, I went from team leader to senior team leader to the manager.
wow.
Yeah. That's the first time I had like full autonomy, and that's where I kind of stuffed up a bit.
Yeah.
What I realized was that I could actually put myself onto all the overtime. So I'd put myself onto overtime, and I'd work for 24 hours straight, so no problem. But I'd get all my work done in the first 12 hours, and then I'd do at the time that I was transitioning, I was doing my uni, so I do all my uni work.
Yeah.
We had overhead cranes. I'd bring a boxing bag in. I'd hang the boxing bag in and start training. I'd have all the miles still doing bench press. So it's like, for me, I'm working, I'm training, I'm studying all at one time. I was being efficient, resourceful. Anyway, I come unstuck because you can't do that. So I've got warnings and all this stuff. But at the back end of it, I was like, I've got to extend myself because I wanted to kind of extend on my engineering stuff. So I wanted to go in a workshop. So I ended up getting a job in a workshop as the operations manager for milling, turning. We used to make products for mining and rail. So I did that. And then off the back of that, I was finishing my degree.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I'm good with people, not the technical side. And then I'll do my Masters of Business and Administration. So I went and did my MBA. So it's straight from one, straight into the other. And that's 12 subjects. And you could do it at night. So trimester based. So I was coaching full time. I was like, all right, if I'm coaching preseason starts here and finishes September. So I would do one trimester, one subject per the first trimester, one subject the second trimester, and then the footy season will finish. Then I'll do 2 subjects. I'll be able to knock this in 3 years. So that's what I did. I knocked it in 3 years. I did 12 subjects in 3 years. But I had no money, man. None. I'm broke 100 times over. So like just even getting through uni and this, and then I was lucky enough that the footy club were paying me a bit here, and it was just, and then I had my son Noah. He's about to turn 12. Had him, and his mother couldn't breastfeed. So that was hard at the start. But what ended up being a great thing about it was we had this agreement where we started using the bottle. So I used to sleep 7-8 hours back then.
Yeah.
All the time. Then you have your first kid and don't sleep much at all. But what we ended up doing was she would go to bed at 6 o'clock in the afternoon and sleep all the way till 1. And then I'd go to sleep at 12:31 and sleep all the way till 5:30 before I went to work.
Yeah.
But when you go from waking up together and going to see if he's all right, and you're broken for 1 hour, 1.5, half an hour, 2 hours, over the 8-hour period. If you have 4 hours straight sleep, game changer.
Yeah.
Right? So it worked, man. But what I was doing from that 6 o'clock to the midnight, this is when I started watching Tony Robbins.
Oh, yes.
Oh, this guy changed my life. Les Brown, Dwayne Dyer. I'm watching this stuff because YouTube. I'm watching their YouTube, and then I'm doing offshoot little personal growth things. I've never done this stuff before. Then I'm journaling, I'm this, that, doing my uni. I'm staying ahead of my reading, my uni. So, like, all of that is what started the entrepreneurial thing. It wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, I'm going to start a business.
Yeah.
Like, man, and this is something that I've tried to tell people so many times. It all started with inspiration about a book, and it started with belief in me. And then I took it to the next level, and then I took it that way, then this way, then you don't know which way you're going to go. You don't even know what vision it is at the time, but you feels right. You know that saying that Steve Jobs says, you can't connect dots moving forward, only when you come backward, right? So that's how I did it. But man, I'd done 7 years of full study, coaching, working, had my first son. And then all of a sudden, 2015, I'm like, I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah. 2015.
2015. I'm going to start my own business. And so my first entrepreneurial business was Hunter Hungies.
Oh, wow.
That was my first business.
Nice. That's a good name.
That was my first business. Catering business.
Yeah.
Obviously, we made hungies. Yeah, but our point of difference, our innovation, this is above ground honey. Right? And that was it. Mobile honey.
I just started seeing that recently, and I thought, look,
That we should have trademarked. My dad used to say it was the Irish honey. So we started that, and the idea was Dad created this honey pit right above ground, and and then I'd go out and do the business stuff. But I'm the business guy right in there. Now, how Hunter Hungy started was an assignment, me doing my MBA. We had a thing called entrepreneurialism, and you had to create a business model.
yes.
Right, on paper, and that was what I come up with, right?
Wow.
So with the Hunter Hungies business, I'm like, all right, well, I created it on paper, let's go. Yeah, Anyway, it worked okay for a while, but man, a lot of work with not much return.
100%.
One thing I learned about that business is if you're working your figures out by how much the food costs and how much your consumables cost versus how much you get paid.
Yeah.
Right. As an owner, I'm like, yeah, this makes good margin. But what about your time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What about your time? Yeah, you got to calculate that too. When you actually calculate the amount of time and put it, man, this is making a big loss. You know what I mean? This is not a good business model at all. But again, as my first business, and my dad was with me too, my mum, she'd do the cleaning and the preparing of food. We didn't want it to end because it was like an ego thing, right? But anyway, we ended up crashing and burning. But that was my first experience, and it was a failure. That was my first business crash.
Part of the journey, I guess, the learning, But the numbers, I guess, you're probably earlier the stage of working out the number to be that this wasn't working right from the order. Did you?
No, well, I didn't have a philosophy. It was just intuition. It was like, okay, it's
this much. I'm sure that's it.
Yeah. And I never forget having and even we're shareholders.
Yes.
How much do you take? How much do you take? Like, what's the deal? We didn't have any of those agreements in place. It was, and I've done so many businesses like that where they're bro deals.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, bro, 50-50, 50-50.
It's probably.
You're with family. No, that's all good. And then when it comes down to it, hey, I need petrol for my car.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you're going to put petrol in your car, I'm going to put mine in my car, and he's going to, but there's not enough money to do. Well, what do you, that stuff said that it becomes. So I suppose that was the first hit at it. And then, after that, I had so many businesses.
Yeah.
I even got and there was one time from like 2016 and 2018 where one of my mates was like, man, you're just setting up businesses and investing in this. He say, for my birthday or Christmas, he bought me a pen and on the back was called ABN. So I don't start pulling pen. Yeah. This is the ABN pen for Mr. ABN. But I guess, it was just so exciting. I'm passionate about it, and, so that's how it all started. So I was a long way into it, man. A long way into it. Where I was working for the man and getting mentorship. I did a lot of study. I've done a lot of self-development as well. A lot of journaling. And then when I first had a crack, it flopped. But the learning that came out of it was a lot too. And then the second crack I had at it was C&M Logistics. And man, that's the total different story to the first one. So at the time I was working on the ships and the rail, and I seen a big opportunity. So I was working Cube, $1 billion business, and I was working with them, and I could see an opportunity that we didn't have to subcontract the trucks. We could subcontract the trucks to take the materials from the farm or the pit or the port to wherever, rather than carving that part of the contract off to somebody else, because somebody else is going to make $1 on that. And I did my numbers. I'm like you, I got my pen on numbers, but man, we're putting 4.3 million tons through this port.
Yeah.
That's all getting picked up on a truck.
Yeah.
Imagine if we made $1 on that. That's in 1 year. And then, because what I used to do, go around different ports, that port's doing 2 million. That port's doing 10 million.
Yeah.
Man, there's like 50, 60, 70, 80, and it kept going up and up and up. Man, there's a lot of... Imagine you make 50 cents per ton. If I won't be too greedy for 50 cents on 60 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so in my head, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but that's how C&M started. I'm like, all right, well, how could I do it? I don't want to own trucks. But what really got me was one of the transport companies that did all the work. The guy that did it, he didn't own any trucks. And I said, man, how are you doing it? He goes, man, I subcontract all that out. John's got 2 trucks. Joey's got 1. Izzy got 4. Vic's got 3. Rome's got 1. There's all my trucks. I just get the work. I put a margin on top of their work. And that's how I do it. I'm like, oh, that's not a good idea. Walk away, man. That's a cracker idea. No? Wow. What he doesn't have, he don't have the relationships here, and I have. Yeah. So I'm like, that was the model. So, so I started it, but I was trying to get my business to do it for so long, but it wasn't their core business, and they're a big business, right? So I started doing it, and, and I was doing it as a side hustle. So I had what I call the rice in the bulb here that fed me, and this was the little extras, right? Within 3 months, I secured a job. It was a week job coming out of the Central West into Newcastle and down to Enfield. And that little route over 6 months would have made me more than my whole salary here. So I'm like, oh. And then in your head, man, if I leave here and focus on this, I'll quadruple that. In the first 9 months, made over $1 million clear profit. Then it just went bang and bang and bang, bang, bang. And then one thing led me to the other. Then the other thing led me to the other. And that business was just an absolute dinosaur, right? Real quick. I remember driving down. So what we used to do, broker. So I used to say we broker deals. Yeah. But then I met this guy, one of my mentors, Laurie. And later on in life, he goes, you know what you do, Ryan? He goes, you're a trader in knowledge. You take knowledge from here and here and here, and you make money from it. So that's kind of what I did. Like, I started to build relationships with people with yellow goods and trucks and civil companies that needed material. And then the tunnels started and they needed to get rid of the materials. So I started joining all these duts. One of the big jobs that we landed was Tuggerah Sports Ground, right? With North and with Robson Civil and the North Connects tunnel. So North Connect's getting rid of 11 million tons. So I'm saying I'm going to fill 330,000 tons here. And then, so they need to get rid of it. these guys needed it, and the transport needed work. So I brokered it all. Now, what was happening in the market at the time was usually this guy here you would pay him to tip in his site. But that's in Sydney. Up on the Central Coast, these guys are paying for the material. So then these guys are paying you to take rid of it. So I'm getting paid here, I'm getting paid here with no expenses.
Yeah.
And so I remember taking the kids down to the reptile park.
Yeah.
This was probably like a month into it. You love this. I'm going down the reptile park, and one of the parts of the job was you had to get all the truck registrations, submit it to the civil guys. They're working on the Saturday. I'm driving down these trucks, come on pile. I'm going cha-ching, cha-ching, you know. So it was cool, man, because I never made money my whole life like that. And then, you know, like the sad part about that is it all got to my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, ego. I bought the Range Rover and the houses and this, and you know, it was funny. The more money I got, the less happy I was. You know, and I'm grateful for that experience, because you know, I've said this a few times. I want people to make more money than they ever can dream of.
Yeah.
And just feel how it feels. And some people might get the formula right, but I didn't have it right. But because I've been there, and I crashed down a rock bottom, bro. Like, so what happened to me is another, I don't know. It is a key part of the story. When you make all this money, and you've never had money before, which a lot of people from Pacific Islands and islands, they have this, right? Especially 40 careers, they get all this money. This is what you do. You spend it all.
Yes.
You buy mum and dad this, you buy everyone this, you buy sis and everyone, right? And everyone's your brother and sister. So you go out on the town, hey, on me, shout, and that's what it's like, because it was all ego. I wanted to show people that I've become something. And then you start, like, because I was business minded, I started investing in that idea, and then that idea, and then I had an investment that was like a couple $100K in that idea, and then, man, like, these things just didn't work out. Like, I lost 50K in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The one that I lost the big money on, I'm talking 700K.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, wow. One of these guys goes, man, you're brokering all these things. Why don't you buy these truck and dogs, right? Kenworth and Mack truck and dogs, 13 of them. Ego. Yeah. All right, how much are these trucks? 300K each, 13 of them, right? Yeah, right. Well, I don't know how to run trucks. You need a yard. You need a maintenance crew. You need an account with the fuel and all this stuff. I can do this. So I did all that. But then they have good drivers.
Yeah. They're managed.
They got maintenance. They got fuel. You got this, and they break down. And so I knew nothing about it, right? And one of my fundamentals now, and at the end of the day, like, you could go into that story, but the fundamental is I lost 750K of that. I was borderline bankrupt 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, from being up here down to here. Mind you, before I got up there, there's so many times that I was always broke, right? But when you started having debt like that, where you're going to go bankrupt, then you can't pay back people, I was borderline there from it. From being here down to here, like overnight. And I had these investments in these different areas, and I'd loan money here, loan money there. So I'm chasing all this, and no one wants to answer my call now. That was a really dark time. I ended up getting through that. Like, I was lucky enough, I got an auction sale for, a fair few of them, and somehow we dug ourselves out of it. But man, it was done and dusted. So that was 17, 18.
Wow.
Right. So that was like 16, 17. No, this is 16, 17. So that was tough. But during that time, I was doing the mining thing. I was doing the mining thing. That was incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible. That was a cool thing to happen, because the guy that put me on, Kevin Maloney, who's a really great guy, like, beautiful man. He still helps me today, like, it's unreal. He gave me an opportunity to be a CEO of that brand, and it was an amazing experience. But at that time, I was really wounded, and I needed it. Well, I needed it to lift me out. So that got me back. And some of the other things that I had in the pipeline didn't work out. Some did work out. And I guess, then all of a sudden, it sounds like I'm ungrateful, but I'm traveling all this time for this mining industry, a dream job. And that's where I really got like mentally unwell, because I never wanted to work for anyone anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I wanted to, it's in me to be my own boss. Yeah. And all of a sudden, even though I had the flexibility, it just didn't feel right. I was traveling, I'm away from the kids all the time. I wasn't eating right, I kind of lost my way. So I was really, really down. And I went on this health kick, and the health kick just gave me momentum. That was the best thing, right? So I started training, and I felt good about myself, got the strength up. But then I started trying different training things. So I went to a group training class, and I loved that. So I started having this passion for fitness. And I thought, man, I could do a gym. And, I could do a gym. And that started like 2017, 2018, this seedling in my head. And the end outcome was Air Locker. And, 2 years later, the end outcome was Air Locker. But as I launched Air Locker, I was still working full time at Tulla, right? And go mining thing. Because I thought when you started this gym, I'd seen what F45 did. I'm like, man, you talk about the financial stuff. This is my financial analysis. Whatever it costs to get in, that's all I need. So if it's like $500K to get everything set up, I just need to find the money to get that. Right. So once I open the doors, it'll just make money and it'll grow to a $2 billion business. That was it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. So, and that definitely did not happen. Again, everything, like it seems like everything in my life is the hardest route to get it. That's how it feels like to me. And one of the things that happened when I started Air Locker was COVID hit within 6 months. And that just was another thing. So I just walked away in the back end of September, 5 years ago, from a mining job, right? Because I'm going all in with Air Locker because things weren't working well. The journey of Air Locker is a crazy story. But they weren't going well, so I had to go in there. I had a little bit of saves up, but again, you go through it to start getting momentum. Bang, COVID. March 2020, and then it's like, wow, here we go again. Here we go again.
How'd you get through that period with Air Locker?
Well, it was tough, but I guess when we got shut down, it was lucky we only had one gym, right? We only had one gym, but we had built some big momentum.
Yeah.
So off the back of that momentum, we went online and we created a really good culture online.
Yeah.
And there was an Air Locker sign in the foyer, and I'm doing like functional based workouts, body weight workouts, and filming it on Zoom, and so we stayed connected with everyone. When we came out of it, we opened up with more members than we went in. Yeah. So I think we did that community part really well. So that's how we got through it. The government was looking after us, and they gave us, bits and pieces. So it was good, but it did stunt the momentum. But what I did, again, wanted to stay productive. We started working on the franchise model.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of interest from people wanting to start their own Air Lockers when we launched the first one. So, yeah, it was a productive time, but I guess it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Were the first franchisees friends, or were they people you knew?
Yeah. So friends, and then close people to the network, right? So people that had been in the studio.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it grew. The first, 5 or 6 were like that.
Yeah.
They'd been the Air Locker Newcastle studio for so long. Like, man, we could pop one here and pop one here. So that's how it kind of grew, was from that first studio.
Yeah. You talk about having a older sort of like clientele, like and including the young ones. Do you know the ratio between the old and like because with this kind of training, it's normally all young guys, the younger generation.
Well, our demographic reach is predominantly 30 to 45.
Okay.
that medium's about 70%.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom end of that, like so 25 and under, there might be 15%. And then from the 50 plus, you might get another 15%. But Air Locker really is for everyone.
Yes.
Age groups, fitness levels. It's one of the most beautiful products for so many different reasons, right? The air that we create in the room, which is hypoxic air, low oxygen air, that's like a natural, non-invasive form of medicine.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Yeah. Because when you breathe that air in, it does so many valuable things to your cells, right? Which our whole body is cells, right? 38 trillion cells in our bodies, right? So the skin is all cells, the eyes are cells, the organs are all cells. So, and in every cell, it needs power, right? So they've got these powerhouses in the cells that create power, ATP. When you breathe in hypoxic air and things happen internally body, it revitalizes that. So essentially, if you've got really strong and healthy cells, you've got a strong and healthy person.
Yeah. Yes.
Now that all happens just by breathing in the air.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's why when I saw your concept and, I never really knew about alternative training, and I was talking to Mark about it no longer, and he's like, you created something that usually it's the elites can only get access to.
Yeah.
But now you created for something for everyone
Yeah.
is able to access it. And that's the uniqueness of
And the thing about Air Locker is a system.
Yes.
There's an engineering system that creates, just brings in normal air from outside. It takes the oxygen out of it and then pushes it into a room, kind of like an aircon, right?
Yeah.
And that room has to be air sealed.
That's right.
So once the air comes in, we put fans on, it mixes it with the other normal air, and then it drops the oxygen level in that room from 21% to 14%. Now, what happens in that room could be anything, right? I've chosen with Air Locker training to put a hybrid athletic program in there, which has got cardio and weights and boxing. And the way I get people to move in there is like I'm coaching a first grade team. I've got a vision. I've got a vision on how I want them to move in there. I've got a philosophy on how you should train.
Yeah.
No different to a first grade coach. A first grade coach comes into a football team and says, this is how I want to play attack. This is how I want to play defense. Here's how I want the players to play. That's how I coach. And that's how our brand coaches. We've got a philosophy, we've got a true belief and a strategy. So when a member comes into Air Locker, they're getting coached.
Yeah.
Not just how to lift weights with form, how to approach an Air Locker training session to maximize their benefits. But also, guess what? It's a club.
Yes.
So I don't want Izzy and Joey just to train in that. I want you guys to connect. And if you are the senior players and you see the rookies come into your team, guess what? You're going to go up and say good day. That's the club. That's the culture we want to create.
That's awesome.
So, it's funny how it comes back.
Yeah.
There's coaching and the passion and this, right? So the program that I've got into Air Locker and the equipment, that's the experience I'm trying to create. But the uniqueness of Air Locker is the nitrogen gas system linked to a room.
Yeah.
I could change that experience in the room. So where we want to head in the future, we've got big dreams, big vision. And I can see people coming in and sleeping in that room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And getting the benefits. I can see senior living going in and going in a room like this and playing bingo. When we got the greys on, we'll go into the hypoxic room and play bingo. All of a sudden, I might have some memory losses. I'm getting early onset of dementia. And I start remembering what you did to me 5 years ago when we were playing bingo. You know what I mean? But
to the other room and work it out.
It's toss up room. Yeah, we might stand up one day playing bingo. Why am I even in this place? I spring out of chair. I'm going back home. I can see the Air Locker system wrapped around you. That's amazing. The octagon, the NBA, half court at altitude. I could see this going everywhere. But what's on the market right now is for everyone.
Yes.
And the way we coach it,
we're
we're coaching. We've got a philosophy, we've got a belief, and we've got a vision. if we can bring the communities together and we can give them the tactics and the strategies and the skills to be able to train the way we want them to train, they're honestly, it's a beautiful vision to have. And I guess, that's the product we've chosen. So
it's aligned with your purpose. Like I think that was your purpose when you took.
Yeah.
I felt like it's
and you'll learn this. Like well, I had a thought, and it just was like an epiphany last week, bro.
Yeah.
So, like I said in my journey, all I ever wanted to do was play professional sports as a kid. And then that got taken away from me through injury when I was 20. I lost myself. Couldn't identify with what I was doing. I was lost. Go back to coaching. Feel that identity back. Right? And during that coaching, that was 6 to 7 years until the businesses kicked off and I had to leave because of time. Lost myself again.
Yeah.
Started there, looker. Felt, I'm back. I felt my purpose back, right? And then what happened like 2 years into the journey, I didn't know it at that time, but I didn't know how connected I was to the coaching part of this and the programming part of this. I didn't know at the time. So I got somebody else to do the programming, the coach ed, and I did more the business stuff.
Yes.
And I've got to be honest, I feel like I lost myself again for the last 2.5, 3 years. But now I'm back doing the coaching.
Yeah.
And this is, yeah. Now I'm back doing the coaching and I'm doing the programming. I'm doing, I'm alive again. That's how I feel. And what I realized last week, because I've been doing it for the last 2 months now, it's only been a short period of time. But what I realized last week, this is what I was born for.
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah. I think I just heard it the other day. Some CEOs are not born to be the founders are not CEOs.
Yeah.
And the founders
I'm the program guy. I'm the coach. Change my name from CEO to head coach. Yeah, that's what I want to be. I want to be the head coach. The HC. But, it's kind of like the story of the prodigal son. You got to lose yourself to find yourself. I just had to do it 3 times. Still, yeah. But, it's been one hell of a journey, I tell you, and I'm very grateful for it. And, I see so many different walks of life and we talk about like how it hits home from my cultural roots, right? I'll tell you what makes Air Locker different, and it's because of who I am and how I was brought up and what's in my DNA, my blood. When you walk into that place, you feel like you're safe and you're welcome, right? Because I'm going to come and give you the biggest hug, but you're going to see my spirit, my money. You're going to see who I am through my eyes, and you're going to see that directly, right? And that's how I was brought up, and you're going to feel my passion, you're going to feel that. And so I started this. This is the platform I started, but it's the coaches, the members, it's everyone that keeps it going. My job is to instill that culture, because when I grew up, I remember going back home or when aunties come in, that big cut with their big lips, kiss me, hug me. I felt safe. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? It was like beautiful, so, and I guess what we said before, like, I love you, from our heroes, our fathers, because we didn't hear it as much. I want to make sure everyone knows that.
Yes.
But not in that format. Like, obviously, I want them to feel that, so what makes Air Locker so beautiful is that in many ways, my Māori heritage coming through of spirit and mana, respect and that comes through it. It comes through it. And I think that's our real big superpower is that culture. And I feel it's around family. I feel like it's around support in family, and that's where I feel like Air Locker really does feel different, and it generally feels like, and
part of something. I'm part of part of clear myself. Sometimes the birds or whatever, they just want the answer to they're often thinking, I'm gonna start this business. Or what is it like to get a lease or what, but those technical things. If I could just maybe a couple of just when looking for leases, like, do you have any tips like to tell the leases, like, because I guess we know between us a lot of boys always doing fitness and trying to have a little group or
honestly, the best advice I've got for that Sin, is you need support.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm going to give anyone else business advice,
Yeah.
and you're an entrepreneur and you want to start something, you want to find a lease,
Yeah.
get support.
Yes.
You know, if you've got people in your vicinity that can support you find leases or have business experience or have systems and processes in place, go talk to them, like brokers or whoever. Like that would be the biggest advice to me. But you have to go get your support network. Now, many of us, we are self-sufficient. And when we grow up, we feel like we need to do it all on our own shoulders to get the credibility. That's how we're brought up. Don't fall in the trap, which I've fallen into in business, where you don't ask for help early enough. Leverage is what you want to call it, rather than help. So if you can leverage someone else's skills and network
Yeah.
early enough, you'll get the right advice at the right time rather than try to do it all yourself, make all these mistakes, go in the dark, and then all of a sudden when you're in trouble, oh, I need help.
Yeah.
Get help quick. Find a broker that can help you. Find a support person in your network. And that's the best advice I've got.
Man, I think you answered all the questions I was trying to ask you in that one answer. So that was awesome, bro. It's an amazing story of yours. Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on and also what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. No, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and appreciate everything you've shared with us tonight.
Thank you.
We'll get you back on.
Yeah, we'd have to get you back on because there's a lot more to actually talk about. There's not enough room. We like the main Roman. Like, where did it come from? Because it's part of your character now. So, do you want to know where Roman is? Just to finish,
All right. So the name Roman, right? It's a strong name.
it is. I'm like, bro, this is the kind of
You may think Julius Caesar. You may think, the Roman Emperor.
yeah.
There's a show called Days of Our Lives.
Every time I Google, everybody comes up.
And in that show, there's a character called Days of Our Lives. My mother loved that show. I'm having a son called it a Roman. That's it.
It was like every time. I think it is was at 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
It's still going with the same story. Mate, thank you so much. Thanks, Boise.